Hey y'all, what's going on? It's me, your girl, Antoinette, the founder of Antoinette Develops, my YouTube channel that I created because I am passionate about developing the skills that you need so that you can design and live your best life. So if you have not done so already, please go ahead and press that subscribe button. Support me, one, in reaching my first goal of reaching 100 subscribers. Right now, I believe I am at 76. So go ahead and press that subscribe button and help me get to my goal. And also, by pressing that subscribe button, you will be notified every time I post a new video. And that's going to be helpful to you because like every video is all about you winning. So why wouldn't you want to press the subscribe button? So please do that for me, y'all. I really appreciate it. Today's video is all about supporting you and really elevating to the next level and helping you to manifest whatever it is that you want to manifest in this life. Because every time I talk about the next level, I understand that each level is different for all of us. And I want to help you manifest to whatever the next level is for you. Now, when I was beginning my journey in designing and living my best life, one of the things that I had to realize was that there are two aspects of each person. There are two aspects of me. And I had to understand that these two parts of me, these two beings, I had to really become one with them. And I want to share those two beings with you, these two aspects with you, so that you can begin to, like I said, manifest and grow and elevate to the next level, right? So, first of all, the first aspect of you, the first part of you that you have to understand, and what I have realized that a lot of us are familiar with this part of us, but this part of us is called the self. And the self is really all about your identity. So that's that person that you look at when you look into the mirror. Who do you identify with? What are those labels that you call yourself? What are the labels that you identify with? But that is the self, okay? We know who we are. We know those labels that we identify with, whether they're good or bad. The self is your consciousness. The self is you declaring a potential act, you saying that you're going to do something. When I was doing my studying and then when I was realizing this information about myself, and I showed y'all my Bible in my last video. So if y'all want to know more about this journey that I'm on, it's called the Osirian Resurrection, Metu Neter. This is where I get my teachings from. So if y'all want to know more about that, I'll put the information in my the details in my notes. But yeah, so the self is all about, when I was doing my reading, I realized that what spoke to me was that the self is like the shit talker, or the self is what you would consider like your ego. Like when you come into the room and that person that talks a good game, not saying that you can't back it up, but I'm saying the self is that person or that part of you that shows up and talks a good game, okay? So some things when I was doing my research that was really stood out to me, that I really didn't know that it pertains to the self, because I know about the self and it being your identity and it being your image and it being the labels that you call yourself. Like, I understand that part of it, but what really stood out to me, well, first of all, on a minimal level, first is that, well, not really minimal, but on the first level was the fact that if you're into astrology, like I'm into astrology and tarot and things of that order, so the self is really associated with your solar cycle. So that's your sun sign. So my birthday is in the end of February, so I'm a Pisces, right? So that's my solar sign. So your self identifies with that. And then also what really, really stood out to me about the self, and it really made me think, and I had to really go to the text and really reread it over and over again so I can begin to understand what it was talking about. And it was that the self is devoid of energy and matter. So that really stood out to me because I had to go all the way back to science class. The self is devoid of energy and matter because in the beginning I said that the self is your identity. It's when you look into the mirror, it's what it is that you see. That is the self. So you can touch the self, right? You can touch this. I look in the mirror, I can touch this. I'm looking at myself, touching myself right now. So that really confused me when it said that the self is now devoid of energy and matter, because in science class, matter is physical substance. So the fact that I can touch myself, that's where I was confused. Like, that's literally where I was confused at, first of all. So I had to do more research, but it really makes sense when I discuss the second part of us, right? So the self is devoid of matter, physical substance, the thing that you see in the mirror, but the self is also devoid of energy. Now, what's energy, y'all? What's energy? Energy is the power that you need to complete any task. Energy is the strength that you need to complete any task. Energy, at the end of the day, is life. Energy is life. So you're telling me that these are the thoughts that I was going through as I'm going through my own spiritual journey on the inside. So as I'm reading this text, I'm like, you're telling me that the self, the thing that I look at every day in the mirror, you're telling me that it's devoid of energy and matter. Hold on. This doesn't make sense to me. So I had to keep doing some reading because, I'm not going to just close myself off from information. I'm still going to read and understand. I know how to eat the meat and throw away the bone. That's one thing that my mom has always taught me since I was a child. So I'm not going to never close myself off from any information. But it still was like, hold up, what are you talking about? Let me keep reading. So those are some things that stood out to me. Then the second aspect that you have to focus on. So we already said that you have to focus on yourself, who it is that you identify as, in order for you to manifest, in order for you to make transformations, in order for you to be your best self and live your greatest life. You have to understand that you have to focus on yourself. Now we're going to get into the second aspect of yourself, and that is called the not self. So to put it in layman terms, when I was doing my notes, I just said the spirit. The spirit is the not self. The spirit is the not self. So some characteristics that identified with the spirit was the fact that it has no identity. Whereas yourself, you have an identity, you have these labels, you have, how you do your hair or the color of your skin or whatever it is that you identify with. You have that, but the spirit, the not self, it does not have that. The not self is also unconscious, whereas the self is consciousness. The self is awareness. The not self is unawareness. The not self is that person who you are when you are sleeping and those thoughts that ruminate in your mind. That's the not self. The not self is the when I was telling y'all that the self is the shit talker, the self is the ego. The not self is the executioner. The not self is the executioner. Okay, so when we looking at this person in the mirror and we thinking that the thing that we see is what matters, the thing that we see is what holds the most energy, it doesn't matter. It has no energy. The not self, the thing that you don't see, that is what holds the most energy. As I was doing my reading, what stood out to me the most is that the not self is associated with the lunar cycle. And if you are into astrology, if you are into tarot or whatever, even though when you look at the moon card represents the lunar cycle. The moon card represents like your inner emotions and your fears and stuff like that. So that is what the not self represents. It really represents who you really are. And then what stood out to me, because the self is devoid of energy and matter. So the not self is composed of energy and matter. So the not self, your soul, is composed of physical substance, not this body, this shell that we see, but it is the not self that is composed of physical substance. It is the not self that matters. It is the not self that is composed of energy. It is the not self that is full of life, that is full of strength, that is full of power. It is the not self. If you were to die today or tomorrow, you will not be able to do nothing with this body right here. Your body goes into its casket and gets buried in the ground. It is your soul that allows you to use this body. And that's one of the things that we have to really know and really realize, because a lot of us, we focus on the self, and it's really your soul, it's really your inside that really matters, that you really have to focus on in order for you to manifest what it is that you want to manifest in this world. You have to focus on your not self. Your not self is what matters. Your not self is what is composed of all the energy. Do you understand? So that's are some of the things that I have realized when I'm on this spiritual journey, when I'm on this journey of manifestation, when I'm on this journey of transformation. When you are on this journey, you have to realize that you have to pay attention to yourself, and you also have to pay attention to your not self. And I want to leave you with this. 3 statements. The self needs the not self to carry out the intentions of God. Now that's deep, okay? The self needs the not self to carry out the intentions of God. I truly believe that we are all made in God's image. I truly, truly believe that. So because we are all made in God's image, the things that I am learning and the things that I am sharing with you is teaching you and helping you to live the way that God would live if he was on earth. You understand what I'm saying? God is the master energy of it all. So if I am a part of God and you're telling me that I am supposed to live and be in God's image, and if that's the ultimate goal, then I'm telling you today that you have to, in order for you to reach the ultimate goal, which is to be in God's image, you have to pay attention to yourself and your not self, so you can manifest and you can live out God's purpose for you. That's so important. Do you hear me? I hope you hear me. I hope you hear me. Now, I don't hear you. You hear me, baby? All right. The second statement that I want to leave you with is that the self needs the spirit to carry out its will. So the self needs the spirit to carry out its will. And last but not least, the spirit needs the self to direct its will. Okay, y'all? So you need the self. The self is just as equally important as the not self, so that we can carry out the intentions of God. All right. So the time is now for us to level up. The time is now for us to live our best lives. And the time is now is for us to do what is required for us to live our best lives. I believe in you and I want to see you win. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and visit my website, Internet Develops, if you want to know about ways in which we can work together. I'll talk to you soon.